Hello, my name is Inés Lozano and I am a teacher and researcher at the Design School of the Universidad Polytechnica de Valencia. Today, we're going to be talking about how to organize the content of your presentation. Now, the goals of this material are two. To begin with, to provide an overview of the parts of a presentation, and second, to outline how to structure those main parts of a presentation. The contents we'll be addressing in this material are the following. First, we'll introduce the situation and what we're going to be talking about. We'll talk about the main parts of the presentation. We'll work on the introduction, the body, the conclusion, and we'll wrap up with some concluding remarks. So to begin with, I'd like you to ask yourself these questions. How do we begin a conversation when we meet someone? Do we greet the person? Do we start talking straight away about something that the other person doesn't know about? Do we introduce the topic? Second, what is it that we say when a conversation ends? Do we just leave? Do we just keep silent? Or do we, on the other hand, say goodbye or wrap up or just make a transition into the end of the conversation? Then I'd like to ask yourselves, what is the basic structure of a narrative? Is it beginning, middle, and end? Is it middle, beginning, end? Is it end, middle, beginning, end, beginning, middle? How do we structure communication? So, we've spoken about three parts in presentations: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. So let's start with the introduction. Now, communicative interaction begins by establishing contact with your hearer. You make sure that the other person wants to listen and is happy to listen. So we say hello, we open the conversation, and we introduce a topic. In presentations, introductions define the topic of the communicative exchange. So in an introduction, you should state what you're going to talk about and the main sections of your presentation. The introduction is the perfect moment to include an anecdote, an image, or a question, because this creates a bond with your audience. It makes everything feel more personal. It makes everything feel closer. And that's exactly what you need when you're captivating the audience, capturing their attention at the beginning of your presentation. The body is the second part. The body of the presentation is where the content is explained and expanded. It's basically where we have most of the content, the deeper content of the presentation. You can organize the body in different ways. For example, cause, consequence, advantages, disadvantages. There are many ways of organizing the content. The body must develop what you have outlined in the introduction. You promised to introduce a topic and then you develop the topic. And then the summary of the body would be included in the conclusion. In other words, the body is the key, most developed part of the presentation, and it is also what will be summarized in the conclusions. The conclusion is the third and last part of a presentation. Just remember that when you want to end a conversation, you wrap up and you say goodbye. So this is the same thing. Conclusions summarize the content of your presentation. They create this feeling that things are coming to an end. So conclusions should include the main ideas and key points of your presentation. It is very important that this summary builds a clear link with the content of the body, because otherwise your audience will feel lost. It needs to be very effective. It's a very important part of the presentation. And the conclusions should be followed by a farewell expression, such as thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and then you can invite the audience to ask you questions about the content of your presentation. In conclusion, a good structure is an essential element of a successful presentation. Structuring your presentation efficiently will provide an invaluable guide to your audience. Think of their journey, of how they are traveling with you through the content of your presentation. By means of a well-structured text, you take your audience on a journey that has a beginning, an introduction, a middle, the body, and an end, the conclusion. Thank you.